Hello everyone, welcome back to MJ Mathematics where numbers make sense. So today we're focusing on factorization by grouping in pairs. Um, Basically, grouping is generally used to factorize an expression with more than three terms. So the idea behind grouping is to group terms together, and then, if possible, that's when now you can take out a highest common factor in order to obtain the common bracket. So the topic is about getting the common bracket, basically. So now let's dive deeper into example number 1. So here's our example 1, where they say factorize. So we have to factorize there, and then we are given my plus 5ny mx plus 5nx. So basically here you have to group the first and the second terms and the third and the fourth terms. Or you can also group the first and the third terms as well as second and fourth terms. But for now, I prefer to group first and second, then third and fourth, right? So let's do that. So already you have your term 1 grouped with term 2 and then term 3 grouped with term 4, right? And then from there you have to look for the highest common factor. So our highest common factor here is y. So you have your y, take out your y there, and then you're left with your m plus 5n, down with the first one. The highest common factor here is x, and then again you're left with your m plus 5n, right? Now, as I've said, we've created our own common bracket, which is m plus 5n, m plus 5n. Now, take out that bracket. So you'll have your m plus 5n, right? Now cancel this part here. You only left with what? Y. So we write that y there. Perfect. Again, cancel this bracket here, and then now you're left with what? Your x. That's plus x. And then we're done factorizing this. You get your full marks there. So that's how we factorize this. Now let's move to example number 2. Let's move to example number 2. So for number 2, we are given 5ax minus 5bx minus ay plus by. Again, factorizing by grouping. Let's group first and the second term together, right? Which is 5ax minus 5bx. And then we start taking out the common factor of 5x. So let's do that. So you have your common factor of 5x there. So the first bracket there, you'll be left with a minus b. A minus b, right? And then for this one, let's take out the common factor of minus y. There was a video that I've created based on factorizing, where I said when you take out the common factor of -1 from a bracket, then the signs within the bracket will eventually change. So it's the same as taking out the common factor of -1 here. So the signs here will eventually change. So you will end up having your positive a minus b. Because if you can go back, we had negative a and positive b. But now, because of the -1 there taken out, this a will be positive and then this b will be negative. I hope it makes sense. But there's a lesson which explains everything. Okay, so now we've created our own common bracket, which is a minus b and a minus b. Okay, let me just try and use a common color. Let me use a common color. Perfect. Now it's clear. So now we have a common bracket of a minus b. Now let's take out that common bracket now. It's a minus b, and you're left with your 5x there. We're done with this. I prefer to cancel so that we can see what is it that we're left with. Here we're left with 5x. I've written 5x already. Cancel again a minus b. Now I'm left with minus y. That's it. Factorize. Fully factorized. Right? Now let's move to example number 3. Example number 3. So for example number 3, we're still factorizing, but now they're giving us 3px plus 6py plus 2qx plus 4qy. So again, we have to factorize. Not a problem, let's group. Again, I prefer to group first and the second term. If it doesn't work, then group first and the third. Maybe it will work. But for this one, it's straightforward. So take out the common factor of, let's take out the common factor of 3p. Taking out the common factor of 3p, you're left with x plus 2y. I'm taking out the common factor of 3p within these two terms there, first and the second term, right? And then for term number 3 and number 4, I will take out the common factor of 2q. Common factor of 2q, and I will be left with x plus 2y, right? And I've created my common bracket, but at this stage now you know how to take out the common factor, right? So you'll have your, okay, sorry, let's write your common bracket, which is x plus 2y. You'll be left with 3p there plus 2q. Then it's fully factorized. Now it's fully factorized. Then we move to example 4. Example 4. Let's move to example 4. So for example 4, we're still factorizing. Now we are given x squared plus 2xy plus y squared minus 4. Here, I don't think we'll be able to even group first and the second term or third and the fourth term or either way around. I don't think we'll be able to group. So, but there's one thing that I see here. It's this part here where I can just factorize using a standard factorization, right? So let's do that. Open two brackets, x and x, y and y, plus and plus. And then you drop down your minus 4, right? And then from there, if you can check, let's say you have your x minus a and x minus a. There's another way of writing this. It's x minus a, the same. So why don't we just write this as x minus a squared? Because it's the same. Multiplying the same bases, you add the exponents, right? So we apply the same thing even here. You'll have your x plus y all squared minus 4, right? I hope it makes sense. And then as from here, now we can start factorizing now using difference of two squares. So you will take the square root of x plus y. That's the first thing, right? And then you take the square root of 4. Again, we do the same thing. You'll have your x plus y. And then because it's different of two squares, you'll have your plus 2. You change the sign there. And then this will, you'll end up having x plus y minus 2, first bracket, and then x plus y plus 2. I'm just simplifying further here. I'm just simplifying further here. Okay, now let's move to example 5. Let's move to example 5. So for example 5, um, we are given 16x squared there minus 4y plus yx. Again, we have to factorize, but before you factorize by grouping, you have to check if the expression given to you, does it meet the requirements or the conditions of factorizing by grouping? But by the look of things, it doesn't meet as yet. But there's one thing that I've seen or that I've picked. It's the fact that these two terms, they form a difference of two squares. So let me take off those two terms quickly. Um, Let me use a different color to show you that I was actually dealing with these first two terms. Square root of 16, that's 4 and 4. Square root of x squared, that's x and x. Difference of two squares, change the signs. That's okay, right? So far, so good. Now, when we get to this level, let me use a different color. I will take out the common factor of minus y. Eventually, inside the bracket, I'll be left with 4 minus x. I hope we all understand that, or we still remember that when you take out the common factor of negative 1, there's something that happens within the bracket, right? Perfect. So now we've created our own common bracket. The 4 minus x, 4 minus x. Take out that common bracket. 4 minus x. So I'm taking out the common bracket of 4 minus x here. I'm left with what? 4 plus x. So that you don't confuse yourself. Just cancel. Even here, 4 minus x. Now I'm left with what? This minus y. Then it's fully factorized. And then you get your full marks without even struggling. Example 6. Let's move to example 6. So here we are given a squared minus a. Okay, let me do this. A squared minus a minus b squared minus b. Let's group first and the third term because I can see that we have a difference of two squares. And then we group second and fourth. Fine. Done grouping. Now, difference of two squares. I have to take care of this here. So you have your A and A, B and B, plus or minus. Perfect. Take out the common factor of negative 1 there. Done. You're left with A plus B, right? Now I've created my own common bracket of A plus B, A plus B. Now take out the common factor now of A plus B. Cancel there. You're left with what? Left with you A minus B, right? Let's write that A minus B. We're done. Take out the common factor of A plus B. You're left with negative 1 there because there's nothing. So we have negative 1 there. And then it's fully factorized. Let's move to example 7. For example 7, they're giving us P minus 5 minus 5P to the power 4 plus P to the power 5, right? First step here, I can see that this is just a bracket P minus 5. So let me try and get to P minus 5 using this. So how do I go about getting to P minus 5? So I'll just take out the common factor of positive P to the power 4, and I'll be left with minus 5 plus P. So that when I multiply this back, we get to minus 5P to the power 4 and positive P to the power 5. So it's factorized correctly so far. And then from here, now I can just change minus p. Sorry, I can just change minus 5 plus p into p minus 5. Still the same. 5 is negative, 5 is negative, p is positive, p is positive. It's just writing it in a different form. Now we can just take out the common factor of p minus 5. Take out the common factor of p minus 5. Uh, Cancelled, you're left with what? 1. So here's our 1 there. Cancel p minus 5 again, you're left with what? P to the power 4. That's plus p to the power 4. And then it's fully factorized. Now let's move to example 8, which is our last example for factorizing by grouping. So you have a 2 minus x there, minus 2 x squared plus x cubed. Again, 2 minus x becomes our bracket. Now let's try and create this bracket now from this. So you have to take out the common factor of x squared and you'll be left with your 2 minus x. Now you have your common bracket, right? Now take out that common bracket. 2 minus x, cancel, you're left with what? 1. So that's 1. 2 minus x, you're left with what? Minus x squared. You write that minus x squared. Now, we are not done factorizing because this is again difference of two squares. So we have to take off that quickly. So 1, x and x plus and minus. Now it's fully factorized. Now we can move to the next part now, which is factorizing the sum and the difference of cubes. We move to factorization of the sums and difference. Difference of cubes. Again, here we talking about something like this. We're talking about something like this, where they give you a cubed plus or minus b cubed, which eventually will be equals to a plus or minus b, as well as a squared plus or minus ab plus or minus b squared, right? Now, there are steps of factorizing these kind of problems. So step number 1, you cube root each term and keep the same sign. So meaning you cube this term and that term as well, and then you keep the sign, right? Step number 2, you square the first term, change the sign, and multiply the terms together. And then you square the last term. The sign of the last term is always positive, right? But now let me show you using examples. Let's just take the same example, but now we're not using plus or minus. We'll just use a positive only. So how do you factorize this? You cube root the first term, which is a cubed. The cube root of a cubed is just a plus the cube root of the last term, that's only b. And then now you square the first term there, that's a squared. And then from here, you multiply these two, and then you change the sign. So you'll have your a times b is equals to ab. Change the sign, that's minus ab. So we have to write minus ab there, and then square the last term there. You'll have your plus b squared, and then it's fully factorized. Factorized just like that. Same applies if you are given a cubed minus b cubed, right? Again, you take the cube root of the first term, that's a, the cube root of the last term, that's b, and then square first term, that's a squared, multiply and change the sign. So a times negative b, that's negative ab, change the sign, that's plus ab, and then square the last term, that's b squared, and it's fully factorized. So we have to apply that. We have to apply that. So let's start with example 1. So for example 1, again, they're saying we have to factorize. And we are given 8x cubed plus y cubed. That's not a problem. You take the cube root of the first term there, cube root would be 2x. And then take the cube root of the last term, we'll have your y there, right? And then square the first term, that's 4x squared. Now multiply these two and change the sign. You'll have your 2x, y, change the sign, that's minus, right? So you'll have your minus 2xy. And then square the last term, that's plus y squared. And then you're done factorizing this expression. Let's move to example 2. Again, for example 2, we apply the same thing. Apply the same thing. We are given 54x cubed minus 16. So we have to always look for a highest common factor when factorizing, right? So the highest common factor here is 2. So take out that highest common factor, and then you'll be left with 27x cubed minus 8. Now we have to now apply the difference of two cubes now. What do we do? What's the cube root of 27? That's 3. X cubed, that's x. Cube root of minus 8, that's minus 2. So far, so good. And then square the first term, you'll have your 9x squared. Multiply these two, that's minus 6x. Change the sign, that's positive 6x. So that's plus 6x. And then square the last term, that's plus 4. And we're done. Simple as that. Now, moving to example 3, which is our last example. So here we are given x minus y cubed minus 64 x cubed. So I just want to specify something. This is our first term, and then this is our second term. Now, we have to find the cube root of the first term and the last term. Let's do that. So the cube root there would be x minus y. And the cube root of the last term, which is minus 64x cubed, would be minus 4x, right? Now, We have to square the first term. That will give us x minus y all squared. And then we multiply these to change the sign. That will give us positive 4x multiplied by x minus y. Now square the last term. We have to square this term, which is minus 4x. That will give us positive 16x squared. And then you close the bracket. Now, you can just simplify this thing further. Just simplify. So x minus 4x, that will give us minus 3x minus y. Done with this bracket. And then the last bracket, factorize this. You'll have your x squared plus 2, sorry, minus 2xy plus y squared. And then from here, distribution law, remove the brackets. So you'll have your 4x squared and minus 4xy. And then the last term is our 16x squared there. Close the bracket. And then from here, we have your 3x minus y. And then collect the like terms and add them. This gives us 21x squared, right? And then you'll have your minus 6xy. These two. And then last one, it's plus y squared. This one here. Then we close the bracket. Then now it is fully factorized. Thank you so much, guys, for watching my videos. This was the last example. I will see you on our next video of grade 11. Bye.